Happy birthday, Albie.
Thanks, honey.
35 años today. 35 years old. My goodness. Oh,
Does that
man.
mean I'm officially old now?
I'm afraid so. Alice.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
You having a birthday cocktail over there?
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
And now you let it
Happy
go? You
birthday
such a
to
wimp
you.
ass.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
I'm not a wimp ass. You're a wimp ass. Did you turn my mic on?
Happy
Oh, did I?
birthday
No.
to
Are you still there? You there?
I just can't hear myself over the music, I guess.
You are old.
I guess I am old. I've always wanted to be old, though. So.
That is a song called Happy Birthday, Alice, called Kermit Ruffins. Kermit Ruffins does that version. I think it's a great version.
I like it.
Good. So, 35 is a good year. It's a great year for women. It really is. Because you look great. Not that older isn't great, too. But you look great, and you're smarter than ever and wiser than ever. And adequately beat down from life to have the natural craziness that younger women have just suppressed because you're just too exhausted to be dramatic.
I think as women get older, at least for me, I don't know, but I indulge my craziness more, I feel it, but maybe not.
1570 Project or Jane Tomich, Jane and Caroline. That sounds like a coffee clutch for the gals.
Okay, I'll see.
My goodness. Did you see that I tried to reach out to Jane for a surprise birthday to you?
No.
I'd like credit for one, though it was logistically impossible, but I would like credit for a surprise birthday.
Good job.
And you haven't even seen your main present, Alice. You're going to be very pleased.
What's my main present? I don't want a present.
It would be, oh, shut up, Gray. Gray just sent me she's just sent me a note saying he's down 15 pounds since February 1. Shut up, dinkhead. All right.
We don't know how many pounds you're down because
No.
our scale doesn't weigh you, but I bet it's a lot. Tell him
I don't know
that.
if it's a lot, but I'm still not down enough to the scale weighs me. But who knows? Yeah, nobody wants to talk about that. I want to talk about fun stuff, but has to do with food. Right now, I'm eating keto, as you know, pretty much. You know, it's. I have the last couple of days. I actually have had only for dinner, early dinners. We weren't drinking today. We're taking a break. We're
It's
on
a
the wagon
birthday.
from being on a wagon for a day because it's a birthday. According to the cake I made for my son,
Birthday.
BIRTDAY. But I had been eating, and I was surprised, Alice. It's like I'm getting little peeks into what normally humans must be like, because I've been eating these salads with a piece of smoked salmon on them, and it's freaking delicious.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. Must be my old palate or something. I don't know, because I've always despised salmon, and I always looked at people who ate salmon on salad and thought, why don't you just go hang yourself? I mean, you've obviously given up. But, you know, that's before I knew everything else. I just think I remember being 35 and 36 and 37. I am not more mature by an iota than I was when I was 17. I've seen more life stuff and had some experiences. Mm-hmm. But other than that, really back when I was 16, 15, we'll call it 15.
I wouldn't say that's true. You're more mature than you were when I met you.
What? No, I'm just
Yes.
older and move slower. I'm a wounded
No,
brontosaurus.
you're definitely more mature.
Mature? Well,
You didn't know how to like when we first had Sally, you were blown away. You couldn't make a can of chili because you were taking care. You're better at kid stuff and just more.
Well, Alice, that's because I'm seasoned now. I've been
Right,
through. I've
that's
seen
what I'm
combat
saying.
now a few times, and
You're
I once
mature
again
now.
I have my own had kids version of PTSD, and I know I've been around and I know how it is. Even though you've done all the really hard stuff, I've seen the bleep when it comes to having kids, and so to an extent, like you, Alice, and on all parents, this is only a parent thing. You don't get this. Shut up, Gray. He just said I could eat 50 grams of carbs a day and be fine. Shut up. You keep telling me stuff. Other people keep refuting. But, the difference between having kids and not having kids is that when you have kids, it is a constant, insurgency in your life. One way or another for many years. And you can't possibly, people without kids our age, but we're different ages, I guess. But people without kids in their 30s and 40s, it's a totally different. It's a different life in reality, completely. I'm not saying it's, and I was somebody without kids till I was 37, and I'm not trying to say you'll never understand, but it's just a different world. It is a different, you've not lived until you've lived a life under siege to one extent or another, and to where you go from autonomous to having to present every single choice there is to the tribunal of family members and factors and reactions and different outcomes and consequences of everything you do.
Right.
Like, you'd never think when you and I first dated and you were inappropriately dressed with your flaming red stilettos and your oops, I did it again leather outfit that was ridiculously fantastic, where most people thought that I was renting you or I had human trafficked you.
Stop. Don't be ridiculous.
Well, it's true. But believe me, I wish I could go back to the time. But at that time, you and I would go out for a couple of beers down the street in Brighton, Mass, and maybe have an appetizer or whatever like that, never realizing that in just a few years that we'd go to a restaurant, and the moment we sat down, boom, the timer is on. You've got 7 minutes before the baby explodes, or the two babies explode, or the third baby starts crawling under the seat and looking at people. You never realize, like, you don't realize until you've had kids that, like, sitting at a restaurant is not just sitting in a restaurant. When you're in the 20s sitting in a restaurant with somebody, it has to do with, you think about things like appetizers, entrees, stuff to do, what we're going to do later, etc. When you have kids, it's like holding up a bank and trying to cook food and serve it. Meanwhile, having to keep the hostages at bay. Meanwhile, trying to get the money. Meanwhile, hearing the sirens coming. There's a bleep load of factors that happens when you have kids that you would never expect if you didn't have kids. So it is.
I'm not sure many people compare it to robbing a bank.
It is. Well, I think it's more of having it just an insurgency. But the enemy is much better and knows guerrilla warfare and is totally dedicated. When it's you versus a bank, what are you looking at?
I'm trying to make sure the scene switcher is working the way I expect it to. Okay, just
when you have a kid and you have 83 things to do in 2 hours. And one of the things is to keep the kid away from drinking the dog water. That kid's first and only prime directive is to get the dog water, while you have a whole bunch of other things to do. Right. So they are dedicated. They are in it to win it, no matter what, and it doesn't matter. And if you don't let them win, they'll use every weapon they're given to lose their bleep. I don't know how I get on this, but that brings me to being in diets, which brings me to this woman here who is named Carol Adams. Carol Adams is a vegan assistant activist. That's what she is. So Carol Adams, she was previewed recently by Jordan Peterson, who talked about her in a very funny way that made it very intriguing. Jordan, at your leisure. Jordan took his time. Play.
It seems
Start
like maybe
talking.
It's the person
Do I not
who
have
cut
internet
the
in this
audio.
thing?
There's internet.
Shut up, Gray. Gray keeps piping in on text. I can see her. Why don't I have internet? I was just watching this thing. Go. Tell stuff. Say stuff. Jordan.
Uh-oh.
Do I? It's my internet? I'm on Mayonet. Right?
I have
That's
internet.
What I do, right?
Yeah.
It's just going around and around.
I don't know.
I don't know. Don't you? I'm not losing you here. You stay right here with me.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you're losing the audience here. I don't know what
I'm trying to play
you.
the damn audio that's supposed to be all set. Hold on. I'm going to do it through another browser. All right. So let me do this. All right. Here we go. Jordan Peterson. Once again, Jordan Peterson.
Is released soon because one of the people on the other side who was rallying against meat delivered the most preposterously unsatirizable, politically correct rant that I'd ever seen anyone deliver anywhere by a factor of about 5. She just about made me convulse.
This is Jordan Peterson on an obscure show called The Joe Rogan Experience.
Oh.
This is recently. This is actually, might be even today.
And part of it was sympathy, you know, because it was so over the top. It was so utterly miraculous that anyone could, and 2 of her compatriots were sitting in the audience, and she said things like, every hamburger is served with a side order of misogyny, which is a really good line. You know they crafted that line. It's a pretty good joke, but you know, she
misogyny?
said, because she associated the oppression of women with the oppression of farm animals, which is like, it's a dangerous territory to wander into, that analogy.
All right, let's check out.
Yeah, I actually one time read, this might even have been like a Reddit post or something, but the post was from somebody, I'm going to remember this wrong, but if I recall correctly, it was like a post where it was a guy who was black who was dating this white chick who was a vegan, and the girl came over his house and to his mom compared eating meat to slavery.
Oh.
Like the way we oppress animals is just like how we oppress black
see.
people.
Makes sense.
And the mom was not pleased.
Really?
Because yeah, no. Generally, one doesn't go around and compare people of color to animals. It's like you said, it's very dangerous territory to say that like the way you oppress women is the same as how we oppress food animals.
Although Alice, you know, why wouldn't that be the evolution? We know we've the last couple of days, whiteness is terrible, stupid whites, and white emojis are dangerous, and white cowboys, and white. Obviously, this neurosis, this psychosis that is so obsessed with race, it has an appetite, Alice, that cannot be satiated.
Right.
So, why wouldn't it consume everything? Why wouldn't it? You can overlay it on anything. It doesn't matter. You can overlay it on anything.
Because a lot of times that leaves behind the actual, like, black people that actually suffered under actual racism.
Yes, but I'm saying that if you're one of these purveyors of this psychotic stuff, then you can't stop. The appetite's too voracious. You want more and more and more. Why wouldn't Monopoly be a racist game? Of course it is. Why wouldn't the computer be racist? Of course it is. The show is certainly racist. There's no doubt it is. That dog is racist, obviously. You can make the case. You literally can overlay it on anything. You can say Richard Pryor is racism.
You can say anything you want is racism.
But the thing is though, eventually you're gonna run out of white stuff. So you're gonna move on, and everything can be racist. It doesn't matter. You can make a correlation to race in any possible way you can. You could probably do the same thing to gender as well.
Yeah, but the point is that you reach a point where you discover that, like, black people who have suffered from actual racism affecting their lives might find the points you're making absurd and like almost offensive to even compare, you know, what emoji you're using to racism.
What are those people then?
Racist?
Yes, of course they are.
Okay.
Alice, this is not a truth-searching mission that they're going on here. This is not follow the facts to where they lead. This is a religious quest. Everything must be consumed by this. Everything. You don't think that if suddenly every person who was not technically black killed themselves, you think that suddenly this racial reckoning would stop?
No, there would be like colorism. Did you get the thing that I sent you with Tandiwe Newton, who used to be Thandi Newton?
Can I play the psychotic?
Okay, yeah.
But we'll get to that next, okay?
Okay.
So here's the person Jordan Peterson was previewing.
I believe we should move beyond all meat. The assumption that the best protein comes from corpses is a racist belief. How do you know the animal would have picked you to feed off their corpse? 21st century animal eating requires our complicity in a new colonialism. These events especially affect girls and young women. Your hamburger comes with a dose of misogyny. Popular culture is flooded with references to sexy cows, sexy pigs, sexy chickens.
I must be too old for this. There's some laughter in the gallery, though.
Sexy fishes who all just want to have fun. Meat eating is also one of the ways gender-based structures of oppression are perpetuated. Masculinity, a construct of the gender binary facing constant destabilization, feels always under threat, and eating animals is its protection racket. White supremacists weaponized it, eating meat, eggs, and dairy, and the baiting of liberal men as so-called soy boys are all part of the neo-Nazi messaging. To say you care about animals is considered a sign of weakness in a world still committed to the gender binary. Meat eaters, like anti-abortionists, have forgotten that one quality of non-existence is not having awareness about existence. When all else fails, meat eaters assert that animals are not our equals. I heard all your laughter. I know some of these must be new ideas, or you think they're fringe or whatever. Our whiteness is part of the problem of meat eating.
Why is that any more crazy than anything else? It's not. She's, as far as I'm concerned, she's a very standard garden variety progressive.
Mm-hmm. You saw Eric Adams wants New York to live a more plant-based lifestyle.
Right. Well, there we go. And it's just going to be starting there. Now, so who was I supposed to get?
I just sent you again, Tandiwe Newton. It hasn't added the beginning of it, though. Mm-hmm. Well, you missed it the first time, apparently.
Okay, hold on. It's Phil.
For those of you who weren't aware, although we did cover it on this show, so longtime Burn Barrel listeners will know that Thandi Newton recently became Tandiwe Newton. Because
I don't remember
that's
that.
her, that's like her African princess name.
Okay.
That she, not her Hollywood stage name, that she feels she was forced by racist Hollywood to adopt the name Thandi.
Is she an actress?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I see. She was Thandi, and then she's now Tandiwe.
Tandiwe, yes.
Okay, here we go.
When it's precisely that prejudice that I've received. It doesn't matter that it's from African-American women more than anyone else. It doesn't matter. I received prejudice. Anyone who's received oppression and prejudice.
She's talking about some role she has.
I've wanted so desperately to apologize every day to darken.
So that wasn't an ad at the beginning. That was was
part of her movie?
Yeah, so I'm going to start again. Hold on.
Oh, I thought it was an ad.
No, it looks like it. It looks like a car ad.
You must have got my note, though. I put it on your truck yesterday.
I now realize that my internalized prejudice was stopping me from feeling like I could play this role. When it's precisely that prejudice that I've received. It doesn't matter that it's from African-American women more than anyone else. It doesn't matter. I received prejudice. Anyone who's received oppression and prejudice feels this character. I've wanted so desperately to apologize every day to darker-skinned actresses, to say, I'm sorry that I'm the one chosen. My mama looks like you.
Oh, she's crying now.
Mm-hmm.
It's been very painful to have women that look like my mum feel like I'm not representing them, that I'm taking from them, taking their men, taking their work, taking their truth. But I do think that any women of color who've, whether they're pale or whatever, who've managed to help other actors, get into this business. We matter. Whenever they say that Black women have watched the movie and it's really, really, really mattered to them. I just thank God that my light skin didn't stop that from happening. I'm so that it didn't cause more pain.
Thank you for apologizing.
I wanted so desperately to apologize every day to darker-skinned actresses, to say, I'm sorry that I'm the one chosen. My mama looks like you.
I mean, is that not incredible? That she's apologizing to darker-skinned actresses for taking their roles?
Yeah, but there's
apologizing
something she said,
in tears.
Hold on.
African-American women more than anyone else.
She said she's had prejudice from African-American women more than anyone.
That prejudice that I've received. It doesn't matter that it's from African-American women more than anyone else. It doesn't matter. I received prejudice. Anyone who's received oppression.
You know what it's called? Receiving prejudice?
What?
It's called effing living. Yes, prejudice is what happens. You have prejudice. People look at this lady and they say, what a beautiful person, and they let her in. They let her in where they won't let fat boys like me in, okay?
Right.
She gets special treatment because of prejudice. She gets treated like a queen because of prejudice. People hear her speak with her beautiful accent and her
She has
beautiful...
a lovely voice. I was
Yes,
thinking that
person.
the whole time.
And yes, people are prejudging her. They don't know how petty she is as a human just because of her voice and the way she presents. She gets special privileges. So I don't want to... Prejudice. Prejudice doesn't belong to any particular race.
But she's apologizing in tears for how prejudice has benefited her, honey, because of her lighter skin than other black women.
Prejudice. What a pussy. My God, I can't believe it. And that's not prejudice. I didn't know that until I've seen her and heard her. It's remarkable. Remarkable. What a suck-ass time. What really is. I'm more victimized by you. And if I'm not even more victimized, then I feel even worse than a victim because I've victimized you. Now I feel even worse. See how wretched I am. I'm so wretched. I'm so wretched. Meanwhile, I make $780,000 every 2 days and have a charmed life. But see, I'm so wretched emotionally. See me bearing all this for you? See? Go F yourself, dumbass. I have no idea who Thandi McClugler is, and I'll never care.
She's in lots of stuff. She's
good,
pretty famous.
good. I'll have to check it out.
Westworld. Remember I used to watch Westworld? Why do you hate Westworld?
What? Because I've seen Westworld, Alice. Jesus Christ.
It's a really good show.
It blows. God. I was upset. You know why, Alice? Because I thought there'd be a darker, blacker actress in it, as a matter of fact. And I was very upset that it wasn't until I saw that Thandi was in it. And I was angry because I saw some prejudice right there. I'm not watching Prejudice World. You can watch Prejudice World. I'm not watching it. I'm not doing that.
Were the fats represented properly in it?
I doubt it.
Probably not. You're probably right.
How do you think I feel as a radio host? I'm a fat, white, talk radio host, Alice. Mm-hmm. There are a few fatter white radio hosts out there who didn't get the gig. How do you think I feel about that?
I don't know.
That's true, too.
Maybe you should make a tearful video apology to any fatter radio hosts who didn't get the gig, that you apologize for taking jobs from them.
God, I'm so...
that you wish they could be represented, that you love people who are even fatter than you, and that you cry every day thinking about their lack of opportunities.
God. I'm just done with it.
That wasn't even like a video blog, by the way, too. That's reporting from the Associated Press.
I would rather Carol, the non-meat eater, that man-eating meat is rape. I would rather hang out with her than this spoiled little brat. Because I bet you Carol, the meat rape person, I bet you she actually works hard and actually has convictions about something. She's freaking crazy, but she's less crazy than that lady was. I'm sorry about that. Here's another thing. I sent to us and to my guy friends the news story, teacher assistant 30 from Plymouth Meeting, which is a place in Philadelphia, arrested by Philly police after she was charged with sexual assault of a student in a car. Barbara Corbo facing contact with minor and related charges. So this teacher apparently slept with a underage student in a car.
Okay.
Teacher's assistant Barbara Corbo. Do you see Barbara Corbo?
No, I don't see her. Let me
check it out.
Okay.
I'll tell you, for you guys listening, she looks like a combination of Phoebe Cates and Nora Jones.
Oh, okay. I see her.
How would you describe Barbara Corbo?
She's a lovely looking woman.
Yes. I would say she
looks less than 30, too. It says she's 30.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
She's pretty darn beautiful.
Yes.
Charged with sexual assault of a student in a car to Kelly Drive. I assume it's a male student. We'll just assume that.
Okay.
We can't pretend, this American society can't pretend to be better than other societies when we all have to engage. And this is why this mask problem has been a problem. Engage in mass LARPing and mass hysteria. If you're a 17-year-old kid and you slept with Barbara Corbo and she had sex with you in her car, you're one of the luckiest young people on the face of the earth.
That being said, being now 35, old lady that I am, I do think that any 30-year-old woman who would want to sleep with a 17-year-old kid is deeply, deeply crazy.
Okay. No more
You
crazy than the chick
insane.
from Westworld
Because-
who cries because
Okay.
she got a role. No more
Okay.
crazy than the
But
lady who says eating meat is rape.
17-year-old boys are babies. They're babies.
Incorrect.
They're babies.
No,
They're
they don't.
So,
You know what the 17-year-old boys are called, Alice, when we give them guns and uniforms and have them do push-ups and then go overseas to kill people? We call them the military. They're not babies. 17-year-old boys. You need to understand
as a 30-year-old woman,
Alice,
to
you need to
have a
understand this.
relationship with their babies. I don't understand.
What
What
baby-
would you
okay.
talk about?
There's nothing to talk about.
Like, I don't, I don't know.
What are you talking about? Wait a
mean,
second. Do you
I
understand?
don't get
This is why women don't get it. The kid doesn't need to talk about anything. A 26-year-old guy also, most of the time, doesn't care to talk about anything.
I just don't like.
A 36-year-old guy doesn't care.
I can't imagine wanting to sleep with a 17-year-old kid.
Okay,
That's all
you're a
I'm
very
saying.
noble person.
No,
Okay.
I just can't imagine it
That's fine,
because
Allison. That's fine.
17-year-olds seem like
17-year-old boy-
idiots to me. I don't know.
17-year-old boy. Of course they're idiots. But this woman is a beautiful woman.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I guess I just
Who's also
like
a
older
teacher,
guys.
which is a boy thing. Not to me, but other lesser men
Okay.
as a young person. What my feeling is this.
Everyone's brain has just been broken by porn.
This is not wait, Alice.
Mhm.
I shared this story, this tragic story,
Okay.
with my guy friends who are
Uh-huh.
all at least 48 to 55. Okay. They're all my generation.
Mm-hmm.
When not me, but when my classmates were in high school,
Okay.
for 1 year in Austin Prep, there was one teacher who, all of us very much would have loved to be romantic with. She was beautiful. I think she was only 22 at the time. And later on in high school, when I went to Winchester High, there were teachers there that many of the boys
Mm-hmm.
would have loved to have been romantic with. Absolutely. It is a boy fantasy thing. It is not a thing. It is not. You don't understand. Boys and girls are different. You don't get it.
I guess so.
So what's happening here. There's no way. This is what I think should happen in my court.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this is the thing that gets me canceled.
Okay.
But I would be proud to go down for this. I can tell you that. My contention is, if you're a 17-year-old kid,
Mm-hmm.
boy,
Okay.
and you sleep with a beautiful teacher, your beautiful teacher who then wants to sleep with you, and you sleep with her, my feeling is this, that when the state presses charges against her, that the state should have to pay for a dream team of A-list lawyers to cross-examine that boy, on the stand. I want OJ's dream team. I want everybody. I want Dershowitz in there. I want F. Lee Bailey in there. Whoever the new people of those are. I want the biggest shark defense attorneys in the world to cross-examine that kid and put him on the stand and say, you tell the jury, honestly, that having this beautiful, young woman be romantic with you harmed you. I think that should happen.
Do you feel the same? I'm curious if it's a gay teenager and a male teacher.
No, that's different.
Why is it different?
Because
Because men are inherently predatory.
well, maybe, but men also have a physicality that's different than women. Though we'd find out in court, but men have a physicality that's different than women. That's not my department, okay? My department is straight man,
teenagers.
hot teacher, okay?
Okay.
Like hot for teacher Van Halen.
I don't know what that is.
So, okay, it's a classic.
Okay.
So my feeling is this: is that we can't really have real intellectual conversations until we can all admit stuff, and that's one thing. You look at this woman, and I'm sorry about that, Alice, but no, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm glad we got on the topic of Zoomer young people's sexuality because I sent you a Nick Fuentes clip.
I don't really want to
You don't like Nick
publicize him. I
Fuentes?
think he's an a-hole.
I'm just curious
You want me to
what
play it?
you
I'll play
think
it. I
about
just
it.
don't
I'm
wanna
curious
play-
what you think about it. So the preface to this is he's doing his show and he's like reading super chats from people. He said that in high school he touched a girl, but he claims to be an incel. So people were saying that he's not really a real incel, that he's a fake cell because he touched a girl in high school.
Okay, so in this jerk is a neo-Nazi wannabe, a-hole, punk, weird, cult of personality, creepy mother F.
Mm-hmm.
I hate
so
him.
I saw, but I'm curious your thoughts because I saw some people talking about this clip and saying they think he doesn't like the company of women that he's
Okay,
more
I
into
see.
something
All
else.
right.
But I'm curious your thoughts
All right,
when
we're
you
gonna
hear
play
him
him.
talking about his sexuality.
So I did it once. I made my point. I proved my point, and now I'm good. Now I'm done. All right? Oh, yeah. Fake cell. Call me a fake cell all you want. I'm an incel, all right? I know I'm an incel. My hero falls. It was 9 years ago.
So I thought incels didn't try to be celibate. I thought that they just
They're
couldn't.
involuntarily celibate.
So this guy
Mm-hmm.
can't find a woman on. Don't hide you're drinking that beer.
I'm on camera.
This guy can't hide. He can't find a woman on the earth who will have sex with him.
I'm sure there are women who would have sex with him,
but he can't do it for some reason, or he's not doing it.
apparently he's still calling himself an incel. But he'll explain why in a minute.
Okay.
Easy mode. Breaking news. Fakest of the fake cell. Wannabe incel.
That's him
But
reading
like I
his super
said,
chats on
Yep.
YouTube.
I didn't choose to not want to be in a relationship. I didn't choose that, okay? I'm a misogynist, and I didn't choose that. I didn't choose to be born.
Yes.
So he's saying
I've
that
never touched a woman in my life. I'm stone cold to somebody. Yeah, well, I don't even want that. So, I don't want touch. I don't want a relationship. You know what I want? Total Aryan victory. That's all I want. I didn't choose that. All I want is revenge against my enemies and a total Aryan victory.
Why are we listening to this loser?
I don't know. I'm curious your thoughts. I mean, that's like the main point of it. So he says that he's involuntarily celibate because he didn't choose not to want to touch women and only be interested in total Aryan victory. He didn't choose that, so he's involuntarily like that. So that's why he's an incel.
I don't get it. I don't
So
get
and then like the comments on this are full of people being like, "This is just Zoomer humor. You don't get." But I ask all the Zoomers out there. I'm like, really? Like, what am I missing? Because A, this isn't funny, really, and B, he's so weird. Like, I've never known anybody who's like that. Like, what do you think his thing is?
I think
What's
he's
his
insane,
thing?
Alice. I think he's insane, and he's got a high intelligence and a level of charm and a good charisma. And I think at the end of the day, he's insane, and he's capable of anything, and he's capable of going on a shooting spree. I think he's a sociopath. I don't think he understands what he is whatsoever. I think he understands media and understands the instances of himself on social media, and he understands the following. And I think it's cool, and I think he has delusions of grandeur, and I think probably he's. I think most people, Nazi-adjacent losers like this generally probably don't land a lot of chicks, but maybe they do. I'm not sure anymore.
I mean,
but I think
I would say I think he can probably land a chick because he's relatively good-looking, young, and has I don't think it's a YouTube channel anymore. I guess maybe it is. I don't know. But he has a huge following.
You'd be surprised if he says what's on his mind. How many women you can get unlaid pretty quickly as a guy. I mean,
if you start talking about total Aryan victory,
he was in BU and went on to Charlottesville, right? He was one of the kids with the torches.
I don't know. Once he had
I
Charlottesville,
think he was.
I know
And
he was
so-
at the Capitol riot. I know he was. I know he's been like kicked out of CPAC and all these.
No, I understand,
places,
but
yeah.
I think that he was at BU. You know,
Mhm.
was one of the
That
kids with
sounds
the torches,
possible.
and they found out who he was, and they made his life hell.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think that if you're, I mean, it is kind of Hitler-esque. If you're going to Boston University, which is down the road from Boston College, which is down the road from Northeastern University, Suffolk University, Harvard University, and a bunch of other smaller universities, in a drunken town full of co-eds, and what you do to blow off steam is go hang out with a bunch of dudes wearing khakis at a Save the Confederate Monument rally, then I think you're a dude who ain't adjusted all that well and doesn't get it. He's probably on some kind of weird spectrum somewhere. I think he's a loser.
Why do you think he's so popular with young people?
He's charismatic. He's charismatic. He knows how to. He's got a self-effacing sense of humor. He just read a bunch of things that were shots at him, and with good humor responded. He's engaging. He's all the things that young people want. He says kind of ballsy stuff that's somewhat forbidden.
Mm-hmm.
He says it so much to the point that he gives you a little. I think he throws like feeding the ducks. Some big truisms and then some big psychotic observations right next to them. And I think it attracts a lot of young people, especially the ones who say F it, who are young, who say this system's corrupt, the whole thing sucks, whatever. And he's got social media, and I think there's a bunch of losers. You saw when he was at CPAC last year, whatever.
And he had all those people with the matching glasses and stuff.
Right. Those dudes were not swinging into the club, grabbing ladies and walking out. Those dudes, I think that this is a brotherhood of the unsexable. And
I mean, like,
I do.
So, I mean, do you agree with him that he's an incel, or do you think it's like?
I don't think he's anything.
Do you think he
but
likes
it's psychotic.
chicks?
I don't think that's his thing. I don't think that's his thing, but who knows? I mean, Hitler had a bigger passion than chicks, but he still had a girlfriend. A little late in life, and who knows what that was all about. But I think that the adoration and by people.
Yeah, he goes on to talk a little bit more about Hitler in that clip.
But
yeah, no, I mean, I'm like kind of intrigued, not because I like him, obviously, but I'm intrigued by the whole movement, and I'm intrigued that it's so popular and popular in a way that I think a lot of these I think the out and out neo-Nazi movements where they're like doing actual swastika waving and stuff, like I don't think those are appealing to young people. You know, like those people don't have huge YouTube followings and stuff. So I just get curious what it is about him, since he seems to like pretty openly embrace like a pretty extreme worldview, right? I'm intrigued that that's so that it resonates so much with somebody, or if it's just like him, like you're saying, like cult of personality. I mean, but yeah, I personally, I agree with you that I think he's dangerous. He's a dangerous person. Yeah.
No, I definitely think he is, and I think it's a problem completely.
But I also think that if mainstream conservatives in this country wimp out and nominate like, you know, a Romney type person or like Liz Cheney, I think that you will that people like Nick Fuentes will gain a lot of popularity.
Maybe I do think that you could definitely splinter the parties, or at least the ideologies, a lot. But then again, I mean, what do you want to do? I mean, even though the traditional media now has like January 6th being the thing, the fact is that in 2016 nobody believed on the left the election results. In 2020, on the right they didn't believe the election results. The media lied big time during both of them.
Right.
Countries very much split. People are overly emotional. People are now using the masking, etc., as an indicator of whatever. So I don't know, where are we going? I mean, we only had 9/11, 20 years ago. That was a big dose of reality. That was a memorable day to those of us who were adults in that day.
Yeah.
That separated the world before and after, because that was such a slap in the face. And it kind of put perspective on things, and but now we're much more insane than ever, and maybe that's maybe that's the because we didn't have social media then. Maybe that's what it was. But I mean, I don't even know. I don't know what's going to happen with the midterms and this and that. More dumb people have more positions of power and influence than ever, and more unethical people.
Mm-hmm.
So, the left's version of this guy there's
They're in Congress for one thing.
they're in Congress. Not only that, but they're also, I mean, these black Marxist groups, Black Lives Matter. This and that. I mean, they've had the media cover that they needed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy. You know, I talked to a girl the other day, yesterday, who she had reported that a racial slur was used at a basketball game in Connecticut. So I got her on the phone, and I didn't argue with about that. And she said, "You don't understand these people. They don't believe what I'm saying." She said, "Some of these people, these are the same people, Tom, who say," and she was nice, she's in her 20s. She said, "These are the same people who, when you say Black Lives Matter, Tom, say all lives matter. As if they don't understand. No, Black Lives Matter," she said to me. To which I said to her,
all lives do matter?
no, I said to her name is Taylor. I said, "Taylor, you and I have very different thoughts about this, so let's put that aside right now. And we have very different opinions on Black Lives Matter. Let's put it aside right now. And just go to have the forensic conversation of what
The racial slur.
The racial slur. So we had to silo all that stuff, which is, of course, very possibly the motivating event that got her to notice and other people to notice N-words where there didn't used to be N-words. But so, like, what would it take? I guarantee you, if she had been a listener to my show, somebody who listened, whatever, she would never have come on.
Right.
She said that assuming that everybody thinks like her. So what would it take? Do I have to go in and convert all the Taylors in the world? Are they convertible? Do they want to be? She feels good about what she's been doing the last few years. She feels good about showing some love and allegiance to another race in the country. She feels good about it. She might be a heck of a great person. Who knows? And to her credit, she got what I said and we refocused.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't know. People get high off of their own passion so much and their own side so much. And I get it, especially because I know and talk to more Trump fans. I understand why they're like, F no, F that, F ever apologizing for January 6th after what the left did and the double standard and all the left attacking federal sites. Meanwhile, all the January 6th people get to be thrown into this 1814 jail in Washington, D.C. The people on the other side, you know, all the people in Portland who did all the attacking, trying to light federal officers on fire, none of those people are in jail. Never had to be. Never had to be.
Right.
And so, you know, I have trouble, and I tell them this.
I bet you a lot of truckers are going to be in jail in a few months, too.
Right. Absolutely. So I have trouble. I can debate why I think that even though one side is getting away with it, that it's okay that even one side is getting away with it and the other side is not getting away with it. I can tell them, yes, the other side shouldn't get away with it, but I can't say that it's fair that the other side didn't. And if they want to say that the other side doesn't have to pay for trying to kill feds and destroy federal property, so I'm in a weird position where emotionally and out of the spectrum of fairness, I totally understand. I can't, and friends of mine and we have friends who feel the same way. People who were radicalized by the treatment of Trump, and who saw the way they treated him, the way Intel services treated him, the way the press treated him, the way he was treated every second of the day, and then who went through election night and saw Trump winning, and then suddenly the vote stopping, and then saw suddenly the next few days, Biden's winning.
Mm-hmm.
That has to be addressed. These people have every right to be pissed off. These people have never been validated by anything. By anything. There were reluctant Trump voters in 2016 said, you know what? All the businesses in this community have closed. This community sucks. My kid's on freaking heroin and fentanyl. And I want somebody who's going to blow up the system and give a crap about us anymore. And that guy in his 50s or whatever, who's overweight, takes high blood pressure medicine, has his own problems. One parent maybe costing him a fortune because they're old and dying. That guy said, I'm going to, go out and support Trump because we got to blow up the system and do something new. That guy was suddenly called a racist and white trash and this and that. And, was relentless on him for 4 years. I don't blame him for being radicalized, for Christ's sakes. I mean, this country has been... The people with all of the power, the establishment, are really the left, corporations and huge communication platforms. And they have said F you and stepped on half of the country. So I don't blame him. I don't know where I got this, where I went here. But I guess as far as the Nick Flint, I don't know. But anyway, how did I start getting here?
I don't really know. From the Nick Fuentes thing somewhere. From him getting kicked out of
okay,
university
how
because
this
of
country, you said
Charlottesville?
how this country is going to be, how we're going to go forward.
Right.
That's what it is. So I don't know how we're going to do it. But we're going to keep doing Bird and Barrel podcasts, Alice, the whole time. Happy birthday, beautiful. It's lovely to see you. I'm very lucky. You're a very good-looking chick. I still feel like a puss when I say that. Like, I should be cooler.
You don't have to say it on the show if you don't want. I'll let you say it to me privately. I'm not making him do this, you guys.
Oh, I could, but I
It's
don't want
not
the guys
a
to think
show
I'm a
of
wimp.
force.
I want them to know that I'm cool with my sleeves rolled up and
That's
Marlboros
what I'm
in my
saying.
sleeves.
You don't have to, show your sensitive side on the Farm Bro podcast. You can just act tough in front of the fellas.
All right, shut your mouth, little lady. Right? Like that? Is that
Exactly.
about
Yeah,
right?
like that.
Okay.
Thank you so much for listening. As always, you can find us on Twitter at Farm Barrel Pod. We're also.
Is there something a little sexy about a guy saying "shut your pretty little mouth" or no?
I don't want to answer that.
Answer. Oh, well.
I'm not answering that question. We're at facebook.com/burnbarrelpodcast or at burnbarrelpodcast.com. You can email us, burnbarrelpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Rumble. We are on YouTube and anywhere else you like to listen to podcasts.
C'est la vie.